So, what's your body count? That question can mean a lot of things, especially to this group. Let's face it, we take things everywhere. We like to make this conversation uncomfortable. It's fun for us. I like to have fun. First, let's talk about the LEOs, your local law enforcement, or your military people. Everybody gets those questions. So, how many confirmed kills do you have? As if all y'all do out there, you're all trained snipers, you shoot people all day long, every day. What's it feel like to kill somebody? All the questions. But the bottom line is, what's your body count? In that particular, those professions can often mean how many kills. Not a question we like to deal with, of course. Not something we want to talk about, of course. And if it's something that you actually do for your profession, if you are a sniper, or if you are somebody that has to use your weapon in the line of duty, you don't really want to talk about it to everybody else out there. You might even not be able to talk about it to everybody else out there. Let's face it. So what about EMS and medical? In those fields, what's your body count usually means how many saves. Again, that question gets followed up by the what's your worst call ever? We don't want to talk about it. We're usually off duty when we get these questions. We don't want to think about the worst call ever. We just don't want to get into it right here and now. And most of the time, we don't really want to be the guy or the girl that's there. I'm the paramedic. Because we don't want to have to deal with the next question. Oh, look at this little rash that I've got right. Look, again, off duty. So what's your body count? That's what it means in the medical and EMS professions. So finally, what's your body count? What's that mean to the civilians out there? That's a whole nother story. That usually means how many partners have you had? There's some math that goes with this one. The general rule is, and maybe I'm making it up, I don't know. But the general rule is, if a guy's giving you his body count, divide by 3. If a girl's giving you her body count, times by 3. The better rule is don't ask your partner for their body count. It's just not okay, and it turns out bad every time. So I'm Dr. Dawn Holtz, and I am a performance psychologist. What does this have to do? What does body count have to do in any of these aspects with what I want to talk about? Why are we talking about this when we're talking about psychology? Well, that's a great question. I want to talk about coping mechanisms. How do those relate exactly to body count? Well, let's go back to the math here. When you go to the doctor's office and the doctor asks you, hey, and it's a standard question, it's nothing to do with the way you look, which profession is, they ask, how many drinks do you have per, and they'll give you they might just ask you how many drinks. They might ask you in a month, in a day, in a week, and do you divide by 3? Do you give them the honest number? What's your math? What's your solution when you answer that question? If the answer there, if what we're saying, and they'll also ask you, do you smoke? Do you use tobacco? Any other tobacco products? Sometimes if they ask you, do you smoke, because a lot of providers still ask that question, you'll just say no because, hey, you don't smoke cigarettes, right? I've seen this happen. But you're hitting that vape over there all the time, or you're dropping the Zyn or whatever. So a lot of providers are onto us now, and they'll ask you those other questions. What other kind of nicotine or tobacco do you use? How often do you use it? So again, what's your math? What kind of math procedure do you use to get the number that you're going to give your doctor? Do you use the real number? How this relates to performance psychology? Well, if you're not using the real number, and you're working in one of these high performance fields, let's be real, you're using those things as a coping mechanism. There are positive coping mechanisms out there, and there are negative coping mechanisms out there. The alcohol and the other substances, they can be negative. I'm not saying don't do it. Listen, I like to have a good time. I like to have a drink. I don't smoke anymore, but I like to have a drink. But if you cannot answer that question honestly for your provider, then you might want to think about the possibility that you're using that particular thing as a coping mechanism. And maybe you might want to look at finding a more positive way to cope with the stress. Your jobs are stressful. I get it. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a drink or a smoke or a Zyn or whatever. But I am saying, let's be real with ourselves, at least with ourselves, about what our coping mechanisms are and whether they're healthy or not. If your coping mechanisms aren't the healthiest, let's talk about what you're doing for resilience so that you don't have to use those negative coping mechanisms, or you can at least use them less often. Again, you know that I always stress, hey, talk to somebody, talk about it. So I might not be your girl. If you weren't down with this conversation, I am not your girl. But if you want to talk, if you want to explore this topic a little bit more, reach out. Dawn at dmhperformance.info, or you can just visit my website, dmhperformance.info. I'd love to talk to you. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I'm here to work with you. Be healthy, take care of yourself, and take care of each other out there.